The halls of Lincoln High were always buzzing with noise, lockers slamming, students laughing, and teachers trying to keep things calm. It was a place where everyone seemed to know their place. The popular kids, dressed in brand-name clothes, walked with confidence. Then there were the quieter students, who kept their heads down and worked hard, hoping to get through the day unnoticed. Among them was a girl named Emily. She was soft-spoken and serious about her schoolwork. She didn't wear fancy clothes or carry the latest phone, but she had big dreams. Emily lived in a small trailer park on the edge of town with her mom. Life wasn't easy, but she never let that stop her from trying. One day, during lunch in the crowded cafeteria, a group of students gathered around, laughing loudly. From the center of the crowd came a sharp voice, "Hey trailer trash, why don't you go back to your trailer?" It was Jake, one of the richest kids in school. His words cut through the noise like a knife. Emily's face burned with shame. The insult wasn't new, but hearing it in front of everyone made it sting even more. She wanted to disappear, but she held her head up and walked away, trying to ignore the whispers that followed. At Lincoln High, the divide between classes was clear, and Emily knew she was seen as less. But deep inside, something was growing, a hope to prove them all wrong. Emily's home was a small trailer at the edge of town. It wasn't much, but it was everything she and her mom had. The trailer park wasn't a place most kids talked about or wanted to visit. It was quiet and worn down, with cracked sidewalks and old cars parked out front. But inside that little space, Emily's mom worked hard every day to make sure they had what they needed. Emily's mom had 2 jobs, cleaning houses during the day and working at a diner at night. She rarely got a day off and came home tired, but she always smiled when she saw Emily's school papers. "You're going to college one day," she'd say, brushing a strand of hair from Emily's face. "I don't care what it takes, you deserve better." Emily believed her mom. She knew that education was her ticket out. Every morning she woke up early to study before school and stayed late to finish homework. Books became her best friends, full of stories about people who rose above their struggles. She dreamed of a future far from the trailer park, a future where she didn't have to worry about money or rude words from people like Jake. But school wasn't easy. The rich kids made sure she felt like she didn't belong. They whispered behind her back, called her names, and treated her like she was invisible or worse. The trailer trash insult wasn't the first, and Emily knew it wouldn't be the last. Still, she never shouted back or showed anger. Instead, she kept her head down, working harder than anyone else in her classes. Sometimes when she was alone, Emily felt the weight of it all, the loneliness, the doubt, but she never gave up. She carried her mom's sacrifices with her like a shield, and in those quiet moments, she promised herself she would prove everyone wrong. One day she would leave this place behind and show them all what she was truly worth. It was a chilly Friday afternoon, just before the last bell rang. The cafeteria was crowded with students rushing to finish lunch before class. Emily sat at a small table near the window, quietly eating her sandwich and reading a book. She hoped to stay unnoticed, as usual. But then from across the room, she heard a loud voice. Jake, the richest and most popular boy in school, was standing with his friends, pointing at her and smirking. "Hey trailer trash," he shouted, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Why don't you go back to your trailer and keep the place dirty?" The room fell silent for a moment. Some students laughed, joining in the insult. Others looked away, uncomfortable and unsure how to react. Emily felt her face flush with heat, like all eyes were burning into her skin. The words hit her harder than she expected. It wasn't just the insult, it was the way Jake said it, like he wanted to make sure she felt small. For a few seconds Emily just sat there, frozen. Then quietly, she stood up, clutching her tray. She didn't say a word. She walked out of the cafeteria, each step feeling heavier than the last. Inside, her chest ached, and tears stung at the corners of her eyes. But she wiped them away, refusing to let anyone see her cry. Later that day, Emily found her way to the school counselor's office. Mrs. Thompson was kind and always ready to listen. Emily took a shaky breath, and told her what happened. "It's like they don't see me," she whispered. "They just see where I come from. They don't care about who I am." Mrs. Thompson reached out and gently squeezed her hand. "Emily, you're stronger than they know. Don't let their words define you. You have a bright future ahead, and I'll be here to help you every step of the way." Her words gave Emily a small spark of hope. It wouldn't be easy, but maybe she wasn't alone in this. She left the office with a quiet determination building inside her. This moment wouldn't break her. It would only make her stronger. Weeks passed slowly after that painful day in the cafeteria. Emily tried to keep her focus on schoolwork, but every morning she wondered if today would be the day the college letter arrived. She had applied to a prestigious university, hoping for a scholarship that could change everything. The waiting was hard. Sometimes she imagined opening the letter and seeing the words that would prove she was more than the cruel labels thrown at her. One afternoon, just as the final bell rang, Emily found a thick envelope in her locker. Her heart raced as she carefully tore it open. Inside was a letter with the university's official seal. She read the words again and again. She had been awarded a full scholarship. 4 years paid for tuition, books, even living expenses. It was everything she had dreamed of. But instead of feeling only joy, a wave of nervousness swept over her. What would the other students say? Would Jake still call her names? Would they believe she really deserved this honor? The very next day, the principal announced a special assembly. Emily's stomach tightened. When she walked into the crowded auditorium, she saw Jake sitting near the front, laughing with his friends. He looked confident, like nothing could touch him. The principal stepped up to the microphone and smiled warmly. "Today we celebrate one of our own. Emily has earned a full scholarship to the prestigious Grandview University. This award is given to students who show exceptional hard work, leadership, and resilience." The room fell silent as the principal read parts of Emily's application letter aloud. He spoke about her dedication to her studies, despite difficult circumstances, about her volunteer work helping younger students, and about the strength she showed in the face of judgment. Emily's chest swelled with pride and disbelief. She looked around and saw her classmates' faces change. Some whispered in surprise, others nodded with respect. A few looked down, suddenly unsure of what to say. Jake's smug grin faded. His eyes widened, and he stared at her without a word. The principal continued, "Emily's story reminds us all that where you come from does not define where you can go. Let's give her the applause she deserves." As the room erupted in clapping, Emily's fear melted away. For the first time she felt truly seen, not for where she lived or what others thought of her, but for who she was. And in that moment, all the hurtful words lost their power. Jake stayed quiet, his arrogance replaced by silence. Emily smiled gently, knowing that her hard work and courage had spoken louder than any insult ever could. After the assembly, things at school didn't stay the same. The hallways that once felt cold and divided started to feel a little warmer for Emily. Some students who had ignored her before now smiled and said hello. A few even apologized quietly for the hurtful things they or their friends had said. Emily noticed these changes, but didn't let it go to her head. She knew respect was something earned, not given. Still, the small acts of kindness made her heart lighter. She walked a little taller, feeling proud of how far she had come. Her teachers also noticed the change. They encouraged her even more, reminding her that this was only the beginning of a new chapter. Emily began to believe in herself the way her mom always had. The dreams she had held close suddenly seemed within reach. Jake, the boy who had once called her trailer trash, stopped mocking her in the halls. He never apologized aloud, but Emily caught him looking at her differently, sometimes quiet, thoughtful, maybe even regretful. It wasn't a perfect ending for him, but it was a start. For Emily, the scholarship wasn't just money or a letter, it was proof that she was more than her background, more than other people's opinions. It was a reminder that strength comes from inside, how hard you work, how you treat others, and how you believe in your own worth. She still lived in the same trailer park, but now it felt less like a label and more like a part of her story, a story of courage, hope, and the power to change. And in the halls of Lincoln High, where divisions once seemed so clear, Emily's journey became a quiet reminder: no one should be judged by where they come from. What matters is who they choose to become. It's easy to judge someone by the place they come from, their clothes, their home, even the way they speak. But what if those things only tell part of the story? What if beneath every label, there's a person with dreams, struggles, and a heart full of hope? Emily's story reminds us that no one should be defined by where they start in life. True strength comes from what's inside: kindness, courage, and the will to keep going even when the world seems against you. Next time you hear a harsh word or see someone treated unfairly, ask yourself, do I really know their story? Am I judging too quickly? Sometimes, all it takes is a little kindness and understanding to change a life, because in the end we're all more alike than different. And everyone deserves a chance to rise above the labels and be seen for who they truly are.